Hey everyone, it's Darla from Crafty Yarn Owl. Welcome! Today we're going to be making this sweater. It's a raglan style. It starts at the neckline, grows wider and longer as you work it, and then we'll make the length of it where we turn each row. And then we'll crochet the sleeves directly on, and we'll make this cute little ruffly border. If you want, you don't have to. It's around the bottom as well. So this sweater is simple, it's size adjustable. I show you at what point to try it on. Let's make a sweater. For my sweater, I use this Ice Cream Smoothie anti-pilling yarn. It's actually discontinued, or maybe just this color is. I'm not really sure. But Carmen, a lovely subscriber of ours, sent me some, so I was able to finish my tutorial. That's why this is called the Carmen sweater. Thank you, Carmen. Huckleberry is the color. And this is a 3-weight, 3 ounces, 85 grams, 219 yards, 200 meters, 100% acrylic. And I used 6 balls and then some of the 7th. And I used a 5mm hook. Also, I used a 4.5 and a 4mm, and that was just to take in the sleeves a little bit. And then the 4mm was for the edging on the sleeves. You don't have to go down hook sizes if you don't want to. But I did to kind of, help bring the sleeves in just a tiny bit. And for the black, I used Twister Solid by Whole Beads, 55% cotton, 45% acrylic. This is actually a 2-weight. And I used the same hook size, the 5mm. And this color is 105. It's just black. And you can use any size yarn that you like. Well, you'll need some scissors, you'll need a darning needle, and you'll need some stitch markers. Okay, we'll be working on the neckline to start with. So I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook. And then we're going to make a chain of 84. But first, I'm going to start with a chain of 6. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to pull up that loop. And then I'm going to go into my first chain. Hook that loop on. And then I'm going to continue making my chain. So that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to be working in the round. So this way our chain will not twist. All right, so make 84 chains. I have 84 chains, and now I'm going to yarn over and pull that yarn through that loop and through the other loop. Okay, so now we have our chain. And now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go into, let's move this, move that over a bit. And right here, I'm going to put a single crochet. And I'm going to be putting a single crochet into every stitch or chain all the way around. I'm going to mark that first one. Okay, put a single crochet in every chain all the way around, and when you're finished, you have 84 single crochets. Okay, I have 83, and then I have one more stitch. So that's my 84th. Now at this point, you may have to straighten it out a little bit so that your first single crochet is visible up here. I'm going to take that stitch marker out, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that single crochet. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around. Okay, 1 in each stitch all the way around. You could also mark that first one so you don't accidentally go into this chain 1 that we made. Okay, double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and you'll have 84 double crochets. Okay, I've just finished my 83rd double crochet. I have 1 stitch left. Put our 84th one in there, and then slip stitch into that first double crochet we made. Okay, so right here we're going to chain 1, and we're going to make a corner. We're going to have 4 corners all together. So that first stitch, go right back in there with a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. That's our first corner. We can mark that with a stitch marker if we want. Mark in the center of it. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip 1, and then skip another one, go in the next one with a double crochet, and then this one we skipped just before we made our double crochet. We're going to go into that one with a double crochet. Okay, so just go back into it like this, pull your yarn through, and just finish your double crochet. Okay, so it kind of makes an X. Okay, skip the next stitch, go in the next one with a double crochet, go back into the one we skipped with a double crochet. We've made 2 X's. Okay, skip the next stitch, go in the next one with a double crochet, go back into that one we skipped and make a double crochet. So now we have 3 X's, and we want to have a total of 9 X's. Okay, I'll show you again. Skip the next stitch, go in the next one with a double crochet, and then go back into that one that we skipped with a double crochet. So now I have 4 X's, and I need 9 all together. So continue doing that until you have 9. Okay, now I have my corner, my V-stitch, and then I have 9 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now we're going to make another corner. So what we need to do is chain 1, and we'll always chain 1 before and after our corners. Okay, we're going to skip 1, and then we're going to make a V-stitch into the next one. So that was a double crochet, chain 1, excuse me, and a double crochet. I am going to mark the corner. I just think these stitches here look kind of similar to our V-stitches, so I'm going to mark it. Okay, so we're leaving our corner, so we need to chain 1. And then we're going to skip 1, skip the next one, go in the next one with a double crochet, go into that skipped one right before our double crochet we just did, and put a double crochet. Okay, skip 1, go in the next one with a double crochet. We're just making our X's again. Go back into that one we skipped with a double crochet. Okay, skip 1, go in the next one with a double crochet. Go into that skipped one with a double crochet. And again, we're going to be making 9 X's. So I have 3 so far, I need 6 more. So just continue making your 9 X's. 9 altogether. Okay, I have my second set of 9 X's made. And then we're going to chain 1 because we're going into a corner, and we'll skip 1, go into the next stitch with a V-stitch, a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So I'm going to mark that one. That will be our third corner. Okay, now chain 1. Remember, chain 1 before our corner and after our corner. Skip 1 and then skip 1 more, and then make a double crochet in the next one and make a double crochet in the one we skipped right behind that, or sorry, right before that double crochet. All right, skip 1, double crochet in the next, double crochet back into the one we skipped, and continue making your X's. You will make again 9 X's. All right, I just finished the third set of 9 X's. So we're coming up to our last corner. So we'll chain 1, skip 1, go in the next stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then I'll mark it. That's our final corner we need to make. Corner number 4. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, skip the next one, go in that third one with a double crochet, go back into that one right before it with a double crochet. So we'll just be making our 9 X's again. Skip 1, go in the next one with a double crochet, go in the one we missed with a double crochet. Okay, just make your 9 X's. I just completed my last set of 9 X's, so we have 4 sets of 9 X's. Okay, I have 1 more stitch. We're going to skip that. Because we're going into a corner, we need to chain 1. Okay, I'm going to slip stitch in the first double crochet of that corner. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 1. Then I'm going to chain, chain 1, and then I'm going to go into our V-stitch. I'm going to take that stitch marker out of my way. I'm going to go into that V-stitch with a V-stitch, and then a chain 2, and then another V-stitch. So we make a double crochet right in the center of that V-stitch, chain 1, go right back in with another double crochet. So that's our first V-stitch there, and then we'll chain 2, and then we're going to go back into that same space and make another V-stitch. So that's a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. If you want, you can mark that chain 2 space, but I'm not actually going to, because I'm going to be able to spot it easy when I come back around, and maybe you will too. Let me just finish that double crochet there. Okay, so now we have a V-stitch, a chain 2, and a V-stitch all into our first V-stitch. Okay, so we're coming off a corner, so we need to chain 1. Now into these X's, we're going to put 1 double crochet into each stitch. Okay, so just go into the first double crochet there and put a double crochet. put a double crochet into the next double crochet, double crochet in the next one, double crochet in the next. So that's all we're going to be doing this round, is making one double crochet into the top of each of those stitches. Okay, then I'll meet you at the next corner just to show you this again, what we did in this corner. Okay, now I have a double crochet in every stitch, and now we're coming up to our next corner. Always chain one, and then we're going to put 2 V-stitches in there separated by a chain 2. So make your first V-stitch. And then you'll chain 2 and make your second V-stitch. Okay, and then we're coming off our corner, so we need to chain 1. And then we're going to put a double crochet into each stitch. Okay, double crochet into each stitch and then chain 1 and do your V-stitch, chain 2, V-stitch in the next V-stitch, chain 1, and then continue on putting 1 double crochet into each of these, on top of each of these stitches in your X's, and so on, and I'll see you near the end of this row. I'm at the end of that row. I just put in my last double crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 because we're coming up on a corner. I'm going to slip stitch into that first, let's see here, that first double crochet of that V-stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 1. If you're not quite in the chain 1, that's okay, because I can never really find it. Okay, then I'm going to chain 1. So in that first V-stitch, we'll put a V-stitch. That's what we're going to do from now on. When we see a V-stitch, we'll put a V-stitch. In the chain 2 space, we'll put 2 V-stitches separated by a chain 2. Okay, always, always. Okay, so that's 1 V-stitch right here, and then chain 2, and then go back in to that chain 2 space and make another V-stitch. Okay, and then we have another V-stitch right here, so we'll put a V-stitch in that one. Okay, so we have 1, 2 V-stitches, a chain 2, and then 2 V-stitches. All right, we're coming off that corner, so we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to start making our X's again. This time we're just going to skip 1, go in the next one with a double crochet, go in the one we skipped with the double crochet. Okay, skip 1, go in the next one with a double crochet. And then we'll go back into the one we skipped with a double crochet. Okay, skip 1, Go in the next one with a double crochet. Go into that skipped one with a double crochet. Okay, so we're going to be alternating with this pattern. We're going to be, like, we start off with a single crochet row and then a double crochet row, and then an X row, double crochet, X row, double crochet, X row, double crochet, and continue on like that. But I will meet you at the end of this row and get you started again on your double crochet row. Okay, I finished my last X and we're up to our corner. So we need to chain one, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet of that first V-stitch, and then slip stitch into the chain one of the V-stitch, and then chain one. And now I'm going to put a V-stitch in the V-stitch. So every time you see a V-stitch, put a V-stitch in there, except the middle one where you'll put two separated by a chain two. Okay, V-stitch in the V-stitch. Here's our next V-stitch, so we'll put one in there. Now we're up to our chain two. Okay, so put a V-stitch, a chain two, and a V-stitch. Okay, go into your next V-stitch with a V-stitch. And into your V-stitch with a V-stitch. Coming off that corner, so we chain one. And then we have our X's, so we're going to put a double crochet into each stitch all the way along. Okay, all the way along. And before your corner, make sure you chain one and after your V-stitch corners. Now I'm at the end of that double crochet row and I just wanted to show you something. Okay, ignoring that single crochet row we did at the beginning, let's count our rows starting from the double crochet row. So there's double crochet row, there's the X row, that's 2, double crochet 3, X row 4, and another double crochet row, and that's row 5. So what I want to do here is change my yarn to a different color. Now you don't have to, you can do what you want. But I'm going to go to a thinner yarn as well. Like this is a 3 weight, this one is actually a 2 weight. I'm going to be sticking with my 5mm hook. Okay, so just slip stitch into that first double crochet, into the top of that first double crochet, and then put your hook through that chain one, and then I'm going to grab my next color and pull it through, cut off your first color, tie them together so they don't slip away. And then I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to go into that V-stitch and make a V-stitch and just continue on, same as before. So that's all I'm doing. If you want to do that, that's awesome. If you don't, that's awesome too. Okay, so just continue on with your regular pattern. And I'll be making 3 rows in the black, and then I'll go back to my purple. And continue doing that. Your top is going to grow wider. Let's see, going to go wider and longer at the same time. And I'll show you where to try it on in the video. Now I've made a total of 13 rows, not counting that single crochet row. But I made 13 rows and I stopped on the double crochet row. Now you can stop on the X row if you like. My yarn is still attached. Now we're going to do some folding and I'll show you what to do next. I'm on the front side of my work. So what I want to do is grab it somewhere near here. This is actually the shoulders. And you just fold it over like that. So you have your neck hole up here. Your shoulders are here. And I have my yarn attached at the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to take a couple of stitch markers and I'm going to hook the chain 2s together. In the corners here, there's the chain 2. Just going to put a stitch marker in there and then on both sides. And then I'm going to try it on. Now I'm around a large, so if you need it smaller, you just don't make as many rows around. If you want your piece to be bigger around yourself, like an oversized, of course, you make the number of rows you want to make, so you make it oversized. I'm going to try this on and show you. Okay, I have it like this. It's just like putting a top on. Okay, so just put it on like a shirt or a top. And that's what we have so far. And now what we're going to do is I have it pinned under here. And I know from, if I hold it like this, I know that it's going to fit down the rest of my body. So I want to make sure it's going to fit down as long as you want it to be. You know, you can make it short, you can do whatever you want. I'll have to do a little bit of sewing under the arms after, and we'll do a little trim, and let's go on to the next step. Okay, now we're going to continue where we left off. All right. So when I closed off this row, I did, slip stitching into the center chain of our V-stitch like before. So now I'm just going to put a V-stitch in there. And a V-stitch in every V-stitch. I'll meet you at that chain 2. All right, so I've put my V-stitches in. Put the V-stitch in the last V-stitch there, and then now we're up to our chain 2 space on both sides, which we connected with a stitch marker. So we'll go into that first chain 2 space with a double crochet, a chain 1, and then we're going to go into that next chain 2 space with a double crochet. So we've just made a V-stitch across those 2 spaces. And that's what will happen on the other side as well. Okay, and then you go into your next V-stitch with a V-stitch. And continue making your V-stitches in your V-stitches. And as you go along, like these V-stitches were part of our corner, so we know after we come off a corner, so think of these V-stitches as a corner, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to make your X's. These double crochets, unless you have X's here, then you'll put double crochets in there into that next row. Yeah, and then before your V-stitches, you have chain 1. And then just do your V-stitches. Did all the V-stitches and the V-stitches, and then my next row is double crochets, or yours may be X's if you stopped on your X row. And you chain 1 because like you're coming off a corner from those V-stitches. And then with mine here, I'm going to skip one, go in the next one with a double crochet, go in the one we skipped with a double crochet to make our X row. And you would just do, like I said, if you'd made X's here, you would just put a double crochet into each stitch. Here we are at our underarm, our other underarm. So I just want to show you that one more time, how to connect them together. We put our V-stitch in the last V-stitch there. We're up to the chain 2, and we'll put a double crochet in that chain 2, and then we'll chain 1, because we're making a V across these two chain spaces, right? We'll go in the next chain 2 space and make our double crochet. And then we'll go to our next V-stitch and make a V-stitch. V-stitch, V-stitch, and continue on, and I'll see you at the end of the row. All right, I'm at the end of the row. I just did my last X there, and I've chained 1, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet of that first V-stitch. So just, you know, like you're closing off your row. And then I'll slip stitch into that chain 1. And then I'll chain 1. Now at this point, I'm going to turn my work. We'll be turning our work every row. Okay. So we're over top of that V-stitch. We're going to make a V-stitch in the V-stitch. Okay, and then we need to chain 1 because we're coming off a corner or a V-stitch. Okay, we chain 1. And then I have the X's, so I'll put a double crochet on top of the first stitch and the second stitch and all the stitches. Okay, I'll keep doing that. And then when we get to our V-stitches again, make sure you chain that 1. I think I've said it a million times. And then put your V-stitches in, and I'll meet you at the underarm here. All right, we're at the underarm, so I put my last V-stitch in the V-stitch. Now at the underarm, we're just going to make a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet around that chain 1 there. Okay, just make a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Okay, so we have a V-stitch. I'm actually going to leave that stitch marker in for a while. Okay, so you go to your next V-stitch and make a V-stitch. And continue on with your pattern. Make sure you do the same thing under the other arm, of course. Just make a V-stitch around that chain 1. Okay, I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, I'm at the end of the row. And I put my V-stitch in the V-stitch. And then we have this other V-stitch, which we actually started our row with. So we are going to slip stitch in there, like normal. I'm going to pull that yarn tight. And slip stitch in that chain 1. And then I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So all we are going to do is put our V-stitch in the V-stitch in the V-stitch. Sorry. Okay, so double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, then we go along, putting our V's in our V's. And just doing our pattern all the way around. for as many rows as you want. Just make it the length that you want, and then we're going to do a little tiny border. That's what I have in mind anyway. So it's not really going to add a lot of length. Okay, so I'll see you when you're done your lengths. All right, I'm on the last row of the length of my body. I'm stopping on the double crochet row. Okay, so I'm going to make this last stitch a V-stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet of the next V-stitch and stop, and then we're going to do a border. First of all, I'll tell you how many rows I did. I did 44 rows counting that first single crochet row. So 44 rows in my body, ended on the double crochet row right here, and it measures 21 inches or 54 centimeters. The number of rows and the length measurement for yours may be different than mine. All right, now, so we're going to do a little border. So I'm going to chain one. I'm going to go back into that stitch, which is the first double crochet of the V-stitch, and make a single crochet. Mark it so I don't miss it on the way back around. And then I'm going to put a single crochet in that chain one space in the middle of our V-stitch, and then single crochet in the next double there. Now after our V-stitches we have a chain one, and just go around that chain one with a single crochet, and then we're going to go into each of these double crochets with a single crochet all the way around. So whenever you have a single crochet, chain one, put a single crochet around that chain one, and a single crochet in each of the stitches all the way around. And I'm actually, if you want to jump forward, I'm actually going to be doing 2 rows of single crochets, and then we'll do a little border. And we will not be turning our work after each of these rows. Okay, I'm at the end of that first single crochet row, and I'm just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet we made right in there. And then I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to go back in that same stitch right there with a single crochet and mark it. So I'm just going to make another single crochet row around here, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, single crochet into every stitch all the way around. Now I've finished the second single crochet row, so I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, and we have one more row to do in for the border. Okay, slip stitch, chain one. Now what we're going to do in every stitch is we are going to make go back in that same stitch, make a single crochet, a chain one, and a single crochet back into the same stitch. Okay, in the next stitch, single crochet, chain one, single crochet in the same stitch. Go in the next stitch, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, back in the same stitch. And we're going to get a little bumpy border. All right, continue doing that, and I'll meet you at the end of the row, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so I've done the pokey, wobbly, wavy, bumpy, I don't know what I called it, border, and I'm just going to slip stitch right in the first one we made. Cut that off. Go ahead and do the exact same thing around the neckline, but you'll be working in the chains. Now we're going to do the sleeves. Now this is the shoulder part up here of your sleeve, And I tried it on and I moved these, I put a stitch marker up higher to make it a smaller opening because I found, I need a smaller opening. I then counted my V-stitches on the one side and then the other side of the opening to make sure they were equal. I've pinned it so we have this area here. We just need to quickly sew that together and we'll do that now. Okay, I'm on the right side of my work. With this stitch, it doesn't matter if you're on the right side or wrong side. I've taken a piece of yarn that's about 4 times the length of the distance I want to sew. And now I'm going to attach it. I'm going to go under the opposite side, under the 2 loops of the first stitch. And then I'm going to come back across and go on the inside of the loops on the other stitch, and then I'll just tie this off. I'll tuck it in. We can sew that in later on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to go across to the next stitch. Let's see. Go under the 2 loops. Come across this side from this inside. Go under the 2 loops. This, I believe, is the mattress stitch. Okay, when I've done a few stitches, I'm going to pull it tight, sideways, not down. Okay, and then keep going, and I'll see you at the end where I'll tie off. Okay, I've only gone up to where my stitch marker is. I'm not going into those V-stitches that I marked. So now I'm just going to make a knot, and then I'll pull that through to the other side. Then I'm just going to weave along the seam. And cut that one off. Okay, let's do the sleeves. Okay, so now we can remove that stitch marker. And then I'm going to go into that V-stitch. I'm on the right side of my work. I'll go into this V-stitch with a V-stitch. So I'll just hook that on there, chain 1, make a V-stitch in the V-stitch. And as before, when you see a V-stitch, put a V-stitch in there. And I stopped on the double crochet row. If you stopped on the X row, then you just do your double crochets in your X's. So here I would make X's in my double crochets. Okay, I put in my V-stitches, and now the next one is the double crochet, so I'll be putting the X's, so we need to chain 1. It's the same pattern as the body. Okay, so skip 1, double crochet in the next, go back in the one we skipped with a double crochet, and just continue on like we did in the body, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Now I'm at the end of the row. I put my last V-stitch in the V-stitch, and then we're going to go over to the first V-stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet of the V-stitch. Okay, and then we'll chain 1 here, and I'm going to mark this row with a stitch marker so I know exactly which row started my sleeve, because we need to make the same number of rows on the other sleeve, of course. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work. Okay, we're going to turn. We're going to turn every row for the sleeves. So now I'm going to go into that V-stitch with a V-stitch. And we're just going to do what we did in the body for the design. V-stitch is the next one, so we'll put a V-stitch. We're just going to be, well, like the body, we are going to be turning every row, like the bottom part of the body we did. So that's all you do. You repeat your rows. I had my X's, so I know the next row will be just double crochets in every one of those stitches. And let me tell you how many rows I did. With my 5mm hook, I did 11 rows. Now it's up to you. It depends on the length of your arm and things like that. So 5mm, 11 rows. And then I switched to a 4.5 for 21 rows. And that's just to help, you know, bring the sleeve in very subtly. And I'm going to end on a double crochet row. And then for the border, which will be the exact same as the border we did around the bottom of the sweater and the neck, we'll be doing 2 rows of single crochet and then 1 row of the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch in every stitch. And I used a 4mm for those last 3 rows. So let's see, after I did my 11 rows with the 5mm, as soon as I started the next 21 with a 4.5mm, I marked that row. I just did in case I decide to go down another hook size after that, which I didn't need to. I tried my sweater on and the sleeves fit really well. And then just for the last 3 rows of the trim, the 2 single crochet and then the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, I did a 4mm for those rows. All right, I'll see you at the end of your sleeve. Okay, you may have a different number of rows in your sleeve. It depends how long your arms are. This is very custom, so just make sure you try it on as you get to a certain distance on your sleeves to make sure it's going to be the right length. I'm sure you know that, but all right, I'll see you soon. Okay, I'm on the last row of my sleeve. We're going to next do the border, but first I'm going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of the next V-stitch. Just slip stitch. Going to chain 1. I'm going to turn. Be sure you're on your right side of your work. Now this is the double crochet row that I finished. And I'm going to change hook sizes. I'm going to go from my 4.5 to a 4mm. And then I'm going to put a single crochet into that first double crochet of the V-stitch. And I'm going to mark it. And we're just going to do a border like we did on the bottom of the sweater and around the neckline. So any chain 1 space you see, you put a single crochet in there. And in every stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. And we will no longer be turning our rows. Okay, I'll see you at the beginning of this row. Okay, I'm at the end of that first single crochet row, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. And then chain 1, and then I'll put a single crochet in that same spot. And then I'll mark it with my stitch marker. And then make single crochets all the way around for a second row. Okay, I'll meet you at the end of this row. I'm at the end of the second row of single crochets, and I'll just slip stitch into that stitch where I had the stitch marker. And then I'll chain one and go back into that same stitch, oops, with a single crochet, chain one, and single crochet. Just like we did before for our little border, go in the next one, single crochet, chain one, single crochet. Go in the next one, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. I'm at the end of the fluffy wiggly border. So I'll just slip stitch in the first stitch we made, chain one, and we'll cut our yarn. And thank you so much for being with me today for this sweater tutorial. And please join my Facebook group and post pictures of things that you've made, whether it be from my designs or someone else's. Just please link my design if you use it, and name, put the name of anybody else that you've made something of theirs. So put their name and the name of their design, not the link. I invite you to please subscribe to my channel for more videos, more tutorials. Please like, share this tutorial, any tutorials of mine, comment and subscribe. Everything you do, any kind of interaction our subscribers have with us helps our channel. It helps us get up that algorithm. All right, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all again soon. Enjoy your new sweater.